1, 2, 3. Welcome to... I'm sure that most people alive today have heard about Buddhism. You know, monks dressed in orange robes, living simple and ceremonial lives in truly remote parts of the world. But the question that has been keeping me up at nights is, what do they gain from such a lifestyle? Like, why would anyone in their rightful mind leave behind all the comforts of the modern world to live a life of suffering?
This bed is so incredibly hard.
Well, and to find answers to those questions, there was but one way to truly understand this topic. We needed to talk to people who have made this choice themselves. And moreover, we were going to live among them in one of those sacred temples, so that we could document and show their lives to you firsthand. So without further ado, let's now head to Dongwasa, a temple in South Korea where days really start at an ungodly hour.
It's 4:30 in the morning. I thought that waking up so early was gonna be the biggest problem, but turns out if you sleep on a very hard floor, it's more of a blessing.
Half asleep while preparing for the day, there was but one thought in my head. Why didn't they use proper mattresses around here? But before I could learn the answer, it was time to start with the daily routine, which meant joining the Jebul, also known as Seon meditation, at 4:30 in the morning. This ceremony is a way to positively tune oneself for the day ahead. It consists of meditation, various mantras praising peace and harmony in the world, and then of course some more praying meditation. The whole thing lasted about 40 minutes, and as we exited the hall, the first light of the day was already greeting us.
That was beautiful.
Well, and just to show that I was not the only one complaining about the sleeping arrangements,
I actually feel that 4:30 this morning wasn't so bad.
Because you have been awake all night anyway.
at 5:30 the breakfast was served, which meant a small 10-minute walk through the pine forest. And thanks to the hundreds of cicadas, the sounds under the trees were hard to ignore. I think they were celebrating the new day, but one thing for sure, it was loud. As we reached the dining hall, we sang another mantra. This time as a thank you for the food we were about to receive. And as most of you can already guess, all the dishes served were strictly vegetarian, since not killing living beings is one of the main ideas of this peaceful religion.
It's like miso soup with rice balls. The balls are totally tasteless.
However, to our surprise, things like coffee, alcohol, and even sugar were also off limits for the people who live here. We ate in total silence. And slowly it started to become clear what we had gotten ourselves into. The life of a Buddhist monk in the first look was almost like a huge detox program, and many things we associate with quick dopamine were banned here. No screens, no stimulants in your food, no romantic relations, and of course the list goes on and on and on. As the breakfast ended, it was our first chance to get to know the place that we were staying. Honestly, it's even hard to find the correct words, because oh my lord, was it beautiful. The morning mist covered the surrounding forests, and the beautiful temple complex that has stood here for nearly 1,500 years,
More than 30 meters tall.
felt like it was taken out of a fairy tale. Just like in Disney movies, you can even see wild animals just wandering around the compound. Because for them, such temples are most likely the safest places on earth, where they can relax and enjoy fresh grass for breakfast.
It's absolutely amazing feeling. You, the nature, the beauty all around you. It's stunning.
For a brief moment, I even found myself thinking, wouldn't it be nice to wake up in such an amazing place each morning? But then, once again the reality kicked in, and I remembered that the privilege of free time was only reserved for the temple guests who could be recognized by the funny clothes we were all wearing.
Quite funny. I feel that this green is almost like a high-vis vest, telling all the professional monks here that these guys are rookies. If they break the rules or don't understand things, don't mind them.
Because for the permanent residents, the time between 7 and 10 each day is dedicated to community work, which means cleaning and gardening. And of course, meditation. Turns out that 3 hours for our minds, which are usually bombarded with information and dopamine, can be an extremely long time. And although blaming our brains and lack of stimulation is probably not a mature thing to do, then still, it's the only excuse I can come up with to justify actions like this.
Robbie and Bobby in the bush. Hey, Robbie and Bobby in the bush. Hey, hey. Robbie and Bobby in the bush. Hey, Robbie, Bobby in the bush. Hey, hey. It's not easy being dopamine deprived.
Around 10 o'clock, we were invited to join a tea ceremony, which was without a doubt our favorite part of the whole experience. First, we started by making some traditional tea. And this process was a perfect example of the ceremonial ways of the Buddhist tradition. Every movement, from preparing the leaves to how you're supposed to hold a cup, has been perfected and passed on through centuries. It almost felt like we took part of some ancient ceremony. And I guess in many ways we actually did. But what made the whole thing truly special was the chance to actually talk and ask questions from practicing monks.
May I also ask about a life of a monk?
Firstly, we had never seen female Buddhist monks before. And as a pleasant surprise, they were quite open to share their experiences and answer our inquiries.
When you decide that you want to become a Buddhist monk, how does it work then?
We found out that to be a monk, you first have to attend a school. And after that, it can take years to earn the title.
Now we just novice. For me, 7 years.
7 years?
Yes.
Wow.
And 9 years.
9 years?
It's a long time.
Novice. That's a huge time.
We also understood that for them, Buddhism isn't really a religion,
Buddhism is a practice.
but more like a practice, a day-to-day philosophy of life.
You can just keep your Catholic as a religious, but you can just take from the Buddhism good.
It was perhaps even shocking when they said that you can keep your Christian or Muslim religion while still practicing the Buddhist ways.
We are trainers, actually. We are practitioners.
And of course, they also told us about their lives and routines as a monk,
Like, what does a day look like for you?
and even gave an answer to my biggest question about the uncomfortable beds. Yet, instead of just telling you, I will rather show you what this life looks like and why they choose to keep certain discomforts in their lives. For the residents of the monastery, noon marks the beginning of another important part of the day. In certain temples, it's the time when groups of orange figures head out to the streets to give blessings and collect donations. You see, working a regular job is not allowed for them, And so many temples all around the world get their food and necessities mainly from those donations. In Dongvasu, however, the afternoon was again filled with work and meditation, which here is often referred to as a time of practice. And to understand the meaning of practice, let's quickly jump back about 2,500 years and join the first lecture that Buddha gave after sitting 7 weeks under a Bodhi tree and becoming enlightened. In this talk, he shared a philosophy that has survived until this day. And in an extremely simplified form, it goes like this. Truth number 1. In life, there is suffering. Number 2. This suffering is caused by desire. You know, wanting things and always wishing for more. Number 3. The way to end suffering is to eliminate desire. Number 4. Once the desire is gone, you will be happy, also known as a place called Nirvana. So to understand the practice of a monk, it is crucial to understand the second and third points of Buddha's lecture. The monks use meditation to tame and control their minds, to be able to shift their focus away from pain, suffering, and even desire. The practitioners dedicate their whole lives to letting go of everything that most people dream about.
We just working. It's walking meditation. So all the time we do meditation.
For some, it takes decades. Others may never reach this goal. But if we believe the ones who have reached this ultimate destination, then once all desires are gone, what remains is not emptiness, but instead an everlasting feeling of bliss, the truest form of happiness. So this, the main idea of the practice, suddenly gives meaning to everything that they do around here. You see, the people who live here don't see things like rock-hard mattresses and lack of furniture in their homes the same way as we do. For them, every discomfort and hardship is just another opportunity to deepen their practice. They see those things as opportunities to become more resilient and to move towards their final goal of losing all desire. Desire of comfort, desire of things, even the desire of happiness itself. And strangely enough, the more I thought about it, the more it started to make sense. Because whether you're a monk, businesswoman, or a bus driver, there is no doubt that the ability to deal with setbacks and ignore distractions is a must-have skill for any sort of success in life.
This is funny. Kindergarten.
At around 5 p.m., it was time for the second and last meal of the day. Again we gave praise beforehand and tried to be mindful of every bite that entered our body. However, just as we were about to finish, a sudden rush of excitement filled the air. For the first time, we were invited into the most sacred part of the complex. The area around the main temple was full of stunning and mysterious buildings.
Just look at the artwork on this little temple. It's absolutely stunning.
It was simply magical. Colorful paintings on the wooden walls told stories of ancient times. Eerie statues made the hair on the back of our necks stand tall.
They don't look very friendly. Monks are gathering up there on the platform.
But then it began. The sound of a giant drum echoed through our bodies. And one by one, the eldest among the monks took their turn playing it. It was beautiful and intimidating all at once. Yet more importantly, it marked the beginning of another jebul, the evening ceremony. Everyone, and I mean everyone, gathered in the main hall. I'm pretty sure I have never ever seen so many people in orange before. And although filming in the temple was not allowed, then still I was able to record the audio to give you an idea of the feeling that this mysterious ceremony brought upon us. The prayer and chanting, it was beautiful. Again, it was like magic was in the air, like the feeling that this place creates is absolutely lovely. Following this gathering, our whole group of guests took part of 108 praying meditations, which then ended the main schedule for the day. For the permanent residents, evenings again are time for reflection and meditation. They give their whole lives to promote peace and harmony. And in many ways, they act as a living proof that through practice, we can all become the masters of our own thoughts and emotions. And parts of their lives should be an inspiration to all of us. The evening ceremonies that we had just taken part of were so powerful indeed that afterwards a strange feeling of bliss took over my body. Only 24 hours prior, we had been in Seoul, one of the biggest cities on earth, but now there was almost nothing. I had barely slept 3 hours the night before. But weirdly, I felt rested. There was a certain freedom in letting go of all the little comforts that otherwise control my life. And although it's now more clear than ever that the path of a monk is not really for me, then still there is a lot that we can learn from those ancient teachings. We often tend to forget that the small amount of suffering in our lives is necessary for us to grow and become more resilient. We sometimes get trapped in a loop of dreams and regrets that prevent us from enjoying and living in the present moment. And perhaps most importantly now, in the world of processed foods and endless entertainment, we need to be mindful of what we put in our mouths and consume with our minds. Because the only way to build a future that matches our dreams is to start with small actions and steps today. We're walking away from here just as we came. Friends, thank you for watching. And if everything goes as planned, next time we hope to bring you along to Africa to experience together with us some of the most unique cultures and people alive today. Take care and bye.